Hi everyone, this is Jama with Women's Net. We are so excited to talk with our winners from June this month. And we have some really exciting winners doing really amazing things. And so we're so excited to have with us Sarah, founder of the Good Food CFO. And so we do get a large number of applicants generally that are somehow are involved in the food industry. So we think that you're going to find this really helpful and amazing, all the stuff that she's going to share with us. We also have with us Lindsey with Blue Moves Media, and she is our startup grant winner. And she's doing some really amazing things with AI. We know that there's so much to know about AI, so thank you so much for being here, and we look forward to your continued work in this space. And finally, we have with us Katie, and Katie is the founder of FloriMetrics. Now, Katie is our business category grant winner, and for this month, we featured business support services. So, we're going to learn all about how she is supporting our farmers and our growers in the agroecology industry and also doing some really great sustainable things. And so, welcome all for being here, and we're so excited to talk to you more. But maybe we'll get started with Sarah. Can you just tell us, maybe in one or two sentences, what the Good Food CFO, what do you do? What is your business about?
About changing our food industry for the better. So much of our food system is owned by a few conglomerates. Our mission is to help sustainable and organic food businesses, particularly those that are independently owned, become financially sustainable and profitable so they can thrive, beat the statistics, and create a more diverse food system.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. And Lindsay, please tell us what you are doing as founder of Blue Moves Media.
Sure. So I was in traditional broadcast media for 20 years, and I really wanted to focus on AI and tech reporting. So I decided to start my own company to focus on that. And I really like to focus on AI for good and ethical AI and highlighting those stories that really encourage people to dive in and be part of the solution. And I also do this in a couple other ways. I do it through media, through doing stories, just like I kind of did as a traditional journalist, but I'm also doing it through keynote speaking and workshops and just finding ways to reach people.
Wonderful. And so many of us learn better that way too. So we're so happy you're doing that. And Katie with FloraMetrics, tell us what FloraMetrics is about in a few sentences.
Yeah, so I'm also a graduate researcher at The Ohio State University, and I've been working on studying ways to improve strawberry production in controlled environment agricultural systems. And so FloraMetrics is a service that I designed to help growers predict their upcoming harvest using a technique called flower mapping. So it's rooted in science, it's derived from research, but it's designed to actually put that into action for strawberry growers in the US.
Wonderful. And before your application, I had not heard of flower mapping, so that was really cool. And what a great way to have this tool so that we can grow better food and also protect our environment. So thank you. And so we're gonna go back to Sarah. And Sarah, you told us a little bit about the Good Food CFO. And so maybe can you talk a little bit about how in your particular business you measure your business milestones, like know when you have to improve, when you're doing amazing, and continue growing that way because it's such a large field. It could be overwhelming, I'm guessing.
Well, we first of all really narrow down into sort of what is the my in particular to begin with, like zone of genius, if you will, right? Like people have heard that before, I'm sure. I'm extremely passionate about our food industry. I'm extremely passionate about local and sustainable food, and identified a problem, which was that 70% of small food businesses, that includes CPG brands, sometimes early stage farmers, independent retailers, were running out of cash and failing within the first 5 years of business. So we really wanted to solve that problem. Once we identified what problem we wanted to solve, we started to create the solutions. What are we going to offer? And what really is that niche area that I excel in? And that was finance and financial support and financial strategy. So once we established like what are we doing and what problem are we solving, we implemented a system which is called EOS, and I highly recommend it for founders. You create rocks. You ask yourselves the question, what is working in the business and what is not, right? As a team, you identify those things. You ask the question, what does our business need to do to survive or to thrive or to move to the next level, sort of wherever you are in your business? And then you move on to the third step, which is what are the things that must happen in this quarter for us to achieve that goal, right? For our business to continue, for it to thrive, to reach a financial goal, whatever it might be. And we hold ourselves accountable to those rocks by meeting weekly as a team and working through the EOS system to keep ourselves on track. The other thing we do that I think is really important and key for, I think, successful businesses is to like quiet your notifications, really have as much of an uninterrupted like workday as you possibly can. So as a team, we also don't ping each other a lot with like questions or, hey, I just had this thought. We put it in a nice, safe place so that when we see each other on our Tuesday meetings, we can bring up all of those things then. So rocks, having really clear like vision and goal, and creating as quiet of a space as humanly possible has proven really helpful for us.
Amazing. And I'm also guessing that your work and your research doesn't end even with the fluctuating food prices and the things going on globally. So, how important the work that you're doing. Now, how do you go about developing a business plan? Like, were there any, you talked a little bit about some of these things, but did you turn to any resources that were completely amazing? And can you maybe get into that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm going to shout out my all-time favorite business book, which I just learned about in the last like 8 months, which I think is crazy. It's called Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0. I should look at it on my shelf. It's by the same author that wrote Good to Great. And I think he's most known for that book. But Beyond Entrepreneurship is one of his first books, and it's really all about the beginning. How do you go from being an entrepreneur with an idea to an entrepreneur with a business, to an entrepreneur with a business that can run without you at its center, right? Always needing to be on, always needing to be available. How can you go from one-on-one to one-to-many and really create something that can turn into a good to great business, in the future? And for me, despite having a very clear vision of like what we wanted to do, the how wasn't always that clear. This book is what helped us to figure out what that zone of genius is, how we best help people, and then also how the business can operate to really thrive. The founder of Netflix is quoted on the back of the book saying that he reads it every single year to ensure that he is like centered back in on the core things that make a business successful, and to just make sure he's focusing on the right things. And I can absolutely see myself reading this book every year. It reignited in me just a lot of excitement in our work. And recently, and what we got the grant funding for is to build out software, so that we can help more good food founders, throughout our country. And I kept pushing that, create the software, I kept pushing it down. And once I read the book, I was like, wait a second, this is like literally the answer to so many things and will move our business and this industry forward. So I owe a gratitude to that book and highly recommend it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that resource. So important. And you definitely are a wonderful resource for those in the food industry. And so thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
And so, Lindsey with Blue Moves Media, let's talk a little bit about what makes your business or even your approach to business unique from other ones that are doing maybe something similar of a service. Can you speak a little bit about that, please?
Sure. So, like, the big thing for me is injecting all of that experience that I have into this new era, because there's a lot that can translate over. And I've had a very unique 20 years in broadcast news. I kind of took a non-traditional path. So, I've been able to cover stories, including internationally before. And so, I'm kind of bringing all these things together, and I'm finding that some of these various experiences, even experiences that I had almost 20 years ago, are now becoming valid in this new conversation about AI and tech, and even like cybersecurity. How do you protect everybody with these new technologies? So it's kind of interesting to me because I remember pretty vividly what it was like to start in that career and not really having, you have what you learned in school and you have your passions. But it's like I'm starting this new company, but I don't feel like I'm starting over. So being able to have this like platform and this background is something that no one's going to have the same experience. So it's a very unique approach to focusing on these subjects. And so far, people really love that combination because it is a little bit different, and I feel like it's a little more now.
Absolutely, very, very present. And so you also are dealing with a lot of little areas in your business. And so what software or programs have you used or found helpful to support you in what you're doing and to help you be the most efficient that you can be?
Yeah, so I have some core programs, and it can be hard because so many of these AI programs offer things. So I had to focus on like how am I gonna, make sure I'm not getting distracted here or there or spreading myself too thin. So there's four main things that I use on a daily basis. I'm gonna grab one of them right now. I think it'll come over this way. It's a little bit hard to see from here. I pull on the cord. There we go. It's about as much as
Yeah,
I can pull on the cord.
I don't know
So
what
this
it
is really, so this is called a stream deck, and I wanted to show it because if I just say it, people don't exactly know what it is. But this is like programmable. So it's got different knobs, it's got different buttons, and I can map it. So I can control my lighting, I control so much from here. But what's so important to me is to not just go on the web and start, trying to get to where I need to be and start to get distracted. So I can, with one click, go straight to my email inbox. When I have to upload some of my videos to social media, if you just go to the social media pages, you start to get sucked in. These take me directly to like the studio upload areas so that I'm bypassing all of those distractions and going straight there. And I have like a lot of different things programmed here. This is just one of my menus. But then I program this thing called Dash. So when I press this dashboard, it actually brings up on my computer a Notion dashboard. So I go from this to that. And there is where I have a lot of more of my like long-term projects. I can add timelines, I can add deadlines, I can just not forget that I was working on this huge project while also working on a bunch of these faster projects because it can be very easy to forget, oh yeah, I have that huge thing I'm working on. Where am I with that? Now, everything is together. So when I'm in the dashboard, I have another place that is there. I can see it, and it's my to-do list. And I actually got a pro Todoist account, which I've found to be really helpful. So I can see what I'm doing that day just by going to my dashboard. Then I can click it, and it takes me straight to Todoist. That's where I've planned out my entire week, and I have like my first priority, second priority, third priority every single day. So at the very least, I'm getting those things done. And if I get them done early in my day, I can start on more things. But I also try to make sure I'm not overwhelmed where you don't know where to start. So I plan out what I think is going to be my week. Then the fourth final thing that I do, I usually do this on Sunday. I will take a screenshot of that entire Todoist weekly list, pop it into ChatGPT. Then I do a brain dump and I say, here's what else is on my mind. I also feel like I should be doing this project, but it's going to be time consuming. And I was thinking this and I was thinking that. And then I let it tell me, and it knows me very well at this point, what I should be prioritizing or what I should switch around. Or am I staying on task? Am I sticking with the goal where I'm going to get the most, like bang for my time and effort? So those four systems have been working kind of cohesively together just to keep me on track.
That's incredible. I think it's only missing one button, and that's for making coffee on demand.
So I'm a big tea drinker and
Oh, okay.
I have a couple. I only do herbal teas. So I have like special teas depending on like how much I have to get. Like today's a deep focus day. I'm gonna have the like tea that's a little more relaxing where I can just really sink into it. Or I have a lot going on tea, like it.
Yeah.
But if it could make it for me, that would be great.
That's amazing. Maybe the next edition or whatever generation, however they upgrade those things. Very cool. I've never seen
Probably I could probably like program an AI to do it.
that. Sounds amazing. Okay, so Katie, let's talk a little bit about Flora Metrics and what makes your business approach. I know we talked a little bit about floral mapping, which is really hard to say.
Right.
But what makes your business approach unique from other businesses that are doing maybe
So
something similar?
yeah, so FloraMetrics is unique mostly because it is something that already exists in parts of Europe as a service, but it is completely non-existent in North America. So there's not a single US grower that actually has this tool available to them. And as I mentioned, you actually using flower mapping, it's to analyze the early stages of the flower buds. So well before you see open flowers or fruits. And what a lot of growers in the US currently use, if they have the tool at all, is looking at things that are currently visible, which at that point it's a little bit too late to actually change your management decisions or to ensure that you're going to meet market demands. So flower mapping actually involves dissecting the plant and looking at these really early stage flower buds well before you can see them on the outside. And so that gives growers the advantage of predicting yield much further in advance because there's much longer before these structures become flowers or fruit. And so this gives growers a huge advantage, as I mentioned, compared to the traditional timeline of predicting yield coming up soon.
That's pretty amazing. I would love to see what that looks like under a microscope. So cool. And it's even more amazing that this service that you're providing is something that is largely untapped here. And so, how cool is that? And so, you have to tell us what inspired or who inspired your business.
So as I mentioned, it's largely because of my research at OSU. So I've always been drawn to plants and nature, and I'm a first generation college student, so I really wanted to pursue something that was important to me. And so I was kind of able to align my studies in sustainable agriculture with that passion. And I have my wonderful advisor, Dr. Cherry Kubota. She's the one who's been kind of the driving force behind this goal and this idea and really helping it progress. And she helped me realize that this wasn't just a thesis topic, but it was something that I could actually turn into a real business. I could actually solve a real problem for growers. And so that's kind of where this began, and that's the goal coming up soon.
Very cool. Well, we can't wait to learn more about what you're going to continue to do with these grant funds in the next few months because it's going to be awesome. And to know all about the many growers that you will help. And so, thank you so much for this very important work. And thank you all for being part of this interview. Thank you for taking the time out. We know that it's not easy as business owners to carve out a little time and do something extra, but thank you so much for sharing with the Women's Net Network. We really appreciate it. Thank you.